Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level? Then look no further than NAST Studios, located in Seattle's Pioneer Square. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm the owner, in-house producer, and editor. We've got 3 cameras to capture every moment and can host up to 8 mics, ensuring your podcast looks and sounds professional. We've got affordable pricing for podcasters at all levels. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.naststudios.com. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, my guest is in town for the Upperleft Comedy Festival. She's an artist, she's a comedian, and she's on the podcast. It's my pleasure to have on Mama Fi.
Hiya.
Yes.
Hello.
So why Mama Fi? What is the
nickname or the stage name? When I was a sophomore in high school, 2 things happened. One, I found out my real name wasn't Fiona. It's actually in Russian, so I had an identity crisis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm Russian, Black and Russian.
Do you speak Russian?
A little bit. I lost some of it, like growing up, because even though I got put in ESL for like 6 years, before starting school, I spent a lot more time with my Russian family, and then starting school, because a lot of them are like in Salem, Hubbard over there, and I was mostly in Portland just mostly Portland, because we're not going to get complicated how many times I moved. But I was in Portland, so I didn't really get to practice as much, except for like with my mom, I guess. But like my family all called me by my Russian name, except for my dad. But having that identity crisis, like going from Fiona, and then finding out my legal name was, which is Fonya. 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 You're doing so good. Fonya.
So
Fonya. 2 syllables.
Fiona.
Nope.
No, I keep wanting
It's
to say
okay.
Fiona.
Don't even worry about it. It's all good. But yeah, Fonya is how you pronounce my actual name.
But no
one
one
of them,
calls
I
you
have
that.
like 5 names, all of which in Russian, except for one. But I'm not gonna go and do my whole government. But yeah, that combined with being in my high school's production of Chicago, I was Big Mama.
Okay.
And
what is Chicago? I don't know. Is that
Chicago?
It's a movie too, right?
It is. Yeah, Queen Latifah plays the role that I got to play on stage.
Okay.
Love her. But yeah, so some of my classmates would like nickname me like Mama Fi, and then I want to say like junior year upwards, I started going by Fi, and then I just stuck with Fi. And then when I started performing, I was like, yeah, I'll just go with Mama Fi. That sounds like me.
Got it.
Yeah.
But no one actually calls you your Russian name then, except family members.
Only like I prefer people to just call me Fi, because Fonya is one of my names. Katya is like my like first name, because it's Katya, Fonya, and then some other stuff. But Katya is the name that I get called the most, like with my Russian family, because that's like my first name.
Got it.
But unless I find out someone's Russian, I just tell them I'm Fi, and then if I hear the accent, I'm like, are you Russian?
Oh.
And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, my name's Katya. And they're like, oh my God. And then, whatever.
So do you have opinions on the war then?
All I'm going to say is I love my Ukrainian friends.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not very political. So
Yeah.
that was a hot
I
take
know.
right there. Okay, so your Mama Fi, that's a very interesting name. I don't feel like a lot of comedians have stage names unless they have like props or something, right? Like Carrot Top or something, right?
I realized, oh God, I realized that like, because a lot of like my comedian friends go by like their actual government name.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, wow, cool. I don't know. I feel like because I've gone by like my nickname for so long, I've never really gone by my real name unless it's like with family or like not even like my close friends, because again, like they can't pronounce my name right. And so, and like I love my name Katya, but having it, people usually will pronounce it Katya, and it drives me bonkers.
Is Katya a name too, or is that just?
That's how people pronounce it. I mean, I don't know. I just know how my name is pronounced, so I can't speak on how other people pronounce their name. But I know my name is supposed to be pronounced Katya.
Yeah. People call me Blake, but it's actually Balake,
Is that right? It's a pleasure to meet you, Balake.
So do you know many Black Russians then, or is this kind of like
No, I only met one through TikTok. Like I made a video about like TikTok creators that I think that we would be good friends, and one of them I tagged all of them in the video, but she saw it and she's like, yeah, okay, let's be friends.
Yeah.
And then like I ended up being in California and she's like, hey, I live in California, let's hang out. And so we hung out and then I found out she was black and also Russian. And I was like, oh my God, that's cool.
But no one thinks you're Russian when they look at you.
No.
Well, no one thinks I'm Italian when they look at me. I'm just, I guess.
It's like, and it sucks because it's like, it's weird because back when like I was, living with my folks, like, because my mom is full Russian. And
Got
so
it.
like that was her first language, first everything.
Dang.
And like even though I practiced it a lot at home when I was younger, and there'd be times that even though my mom, she has like English down or whatever, there'd be times where maybe she might forget a word and I'd be like, "Skuzha" in Russian, like just say it in Russian. So she'll say it in Russian, then I say it in English, and we'll both have that moment like, holy shit, I still remember shit.
Yeah.
But like I at this point only remember like some of the basics like Agila, like how are you, like how to show.
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
But it's like, and then like. Yeah, it's just like there's certain phrases that I had to memorize because like some of my Russian family growing up was like very religious, but I also didn't meet a chunk of them because they weren't too keen on my mom's choice of baby daddy.
Because he's black?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's still a thing, I guess.
It is absolutely still a thing.
Is your family like Catholic or something, or what are they?
Well, no, they're not really. So, well,
because I have Catholic friends that are like fucking like some of my Catholic friends, their parents are like really like they have like the race war idea. You know what I mean?
Okay, because I kind of disconnected from my Russian family aside from like maybe like just a small handful, just because like younger cousins and nephews. I call them my nephews, but I know that my mom and a lot of my Russian family were brought up Russian Orthodox.
I have no idea what that is, but okay.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like
Sounds
there would be
intense,
little Russian villages. Like there's little Russian villages scattered around like Salem and Hubbard. And like I just remember when I was younger, whenever I'd go to those villages, I had to wear like a Russian dress, a Russian like scarf thing. And
oh my God.
I was very tomboyish growing up. Like so I did not like wearing dresses. And I remember one time when my mom and my dad were coming to pick me up from my aunt's house, and I just hated being in this like yellow dress. And so I put my pants on under, but she saw I was wearing pants, and like my aunt like disowned me for like I want to say like a week or something. Like she didn't even look at me when my parents came to pick me up. And then I got scolded by my mom like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I wanted to wear pants. But
some good baggage. I love this.
Yeah, okay. I love it. I mean, if I didn't have baggage, I wouldn't be a comedian. So
yeah. So how'd you get involved with comedy then? Is that something you started in school?
No. I mean, I've always been on the stage. Like for as like long as I can remember, like I've always had a mic in my hand. I started out like I think my first ever talent show I was singing, because like my dad kind of encouraged me singing, and then I got into plays and musicals, and then I got into poetry like slam, and then like what isn't there one that you just say the poem? I don't know, whatever, just poetry in general.
Haikus? I don't know.
Cause I feel like there's slam poetry, and then there's just like open mic poetry. I feel like there's like I don't know. Because they're like,
I thought slam is the same thing.
I don't know. That's how, because like I used to perform my poetry, and now I'm like, actually, poetry is just like a thing I like to share one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Can you make a poem about me right now? Like on the, can you like?
Blake. Oh. Misunderstood.
Oh.
Hot take. Balake.
Wow, that was deep.
I got you.
Okay.
And then let's see. Yeah, I sing a lot. And then I was a stripper for a hot minute. Okay. So again, very comfortable being on a stage. But when it came to comedy, so when I was, I'm also neurodivergent as hell, which if you haven't guessed that by my fidget spinning ring.
You have a fidget spinner?
It's a fidget ring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I had a gig with my uncle at Owl's Den. And
is that like a bar? Or?
I just realized when I said that, I'm like, yeah, let me just casually say this name of a place. It's a it's a comedy venue in Portland, like venue in general in Portland, attached to the Minimums, and it's in a basement, not sketchy at all. And I was singing there with my uncle, and after they were setting up for a comedy show night, which I was like, oh, I didn't know that there's comedy here, and so I sat in the front row and watched it and thought it was so cool. And I remember like heading home and just using my my phone recording thing to be like practicing like what would I say if I was on stage. And then every single Friday night for 6 months I would go and watch comedy in the front row.
Oh wow.
like every single Friday night. And it was really funny because the host would recognize me. Some of the comics that would go up would recognize me, which I didn't know later would become like my like colleagues.
Yeah.
But like I remember after 6 months, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna Google open mic. I'm just gonna say screw it. I'm gonna try it. And so I found one. It was at Helium. I went and did their open mic. And then I remember someone messaged me within like, I want to say 5 minutes of me being on the stage. They found my Instagram and they were just like, hey, we need more femmes in comedy. Here's like Last PDX. This is how it shows all the mics and stuff like that. And then I want to say about a week after the open mic, I got my clip back, posted it. Within 2 weeks, I started getting booked on shows.
What?
Yeah. And that was really trippy for me because even though I'm very comfortable and I feel like I come off as very extroverted, like a bitch got social anxiety. So
Okay.
like, you know, that being said, like it's kind of weird having like people be like, hey, you're new, let me have you on my show.
Yeah.
And me being like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then I think like by month 3 or 4, I was on like 10 shows like a month or something
What?
like that. And also was asked to co-produce a show that was already running, Funny Jazz Talk, which was so fun. We had a live jazz band and comics would do their shout out Ross.
Was there badunch a lot?
Huh?
Was there a lot of badunch?
I mean,
with the
yeah, you
jazz
could
guys?
request it.
Okay.
You could request it, but it was a lot of fun though, like seeing how your jokes work with like a jazz band behind you. Very like such a dope concept.
Make that more common.
Yeah, but it was weird. I definitely had like a lot, and I mean a lot of imposter syndrome because I literally had a conversation with a friend like last month, and now they brought up that though I still every now and then like deal with my imposter syndrome when it comes to comedy, is that I've always had a background as a performer. So it's like it definitely played into it.
Yeah.
Because I felt comfortable doing jokes and stuff like that. But like when people would be like, wow, you're good or you're funny, I'd be like, huh, really?
Yeah.
What? Like I still remember like when like one of my favorite, like two of my favorite local comedians, when they started like noticing me, like they followed me on Instagram. I remember being like, holy shit. And then coming up to me after I do a set and be like, that was really funny. How long have you been doing comedy? And I'm like, this is like my second month.
That's
hi.
crazy. So no, you didn't have to go through like the bomb. Yeah, obviously people bomb no matter what, but like
okay.
most people have to bomb for a while before they start doing.
That's where the imposter syndrome came in. Oopsie. That's where the imposter syndrome came in because it's like I feel like I shouldn't be getting booked after like what is it, 2 weeks, maybe a month worth of doing comedy. And that it's like, even still, it was like my first month of doing comedy was really just 2 mics because I only knew about the Helium mic. And then even when I had that list of like Laughs PDX where we find our hub for comedy stuff, I was a little intimidated because I was just like, but then I was like, screw it. I'm gonna do it.
So how long have you been doing it now? It's like 6, you're like gonna say like 3 months.
It's actually been 4. No, let's see. I want to say like a year and a half, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a year and a half. And this is actually my first like out of Portland show. And then next month I'll be in New Orleans for another comedy festival.
What? So do you feel like you're like you're repping PNW at this point? Like, cause you said you were raised in Portland, kind of.
Raised in Portland. I
but you moved around or something.
I moved around Oregon, but like Portland is where I always ended up growing up. So like I cannot get lost in Portland, even if I tried, or any surrounding areas for that matter. But yeah, I mean, sorta.
Okay, so do you know any other comedy scenes then, really, or is that like that's all?
That's like I just know like the comedy, the Portland comedy scene bubble, and I feel like from what. Like, I don't know too much about other scenes because I've only done Portland comedy in Portland, and then there'll be like comedians who traveled to Portland.
Yeah.
I did 2 different festivals prior to this one. It was Ha Ha Harvest, which was also in Portland, as well as Northwest Black Comedy Fest. Shout out Dirty Angel. Yeah, and I did that, and there were people who were coming in from all over, which was really dope. That was dope in itself, just being around other Black creatives. Like Ha Ha Harvest was a fun festival, and also like being in a festival where it's like all different, like all creatives, all Black creatives. It was just like so cool. Like it was so cool, especially being someone who was like raised predominantly white spaces.
Yeah. So is the Portland scene kind of small then, or once again you said you kind of that's the only scene you know, but like is it like a thing where everyone knows each other?
Pretty much for the most part. It's like if one person like says or does something that's like sketch, it's like, all right, everyone, just making sure everybody knows.
Yeah. Is there like a hierarchy though? Because like it's weird for because of social media. You have a decent
Yeah.
following, right? Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of how people set
See,
up hierarchies
that's
in
okay. Yeah, actually,
comedy, which is like there's some comedians that have been doing comedy for like a decade plus, and they have like a couple hundred followers. You know what I mean? So then with
well,
that, sometimes because of how social media is portrayed,
yeah.
that might make someone like an average Joe be like, oh, that person must not be as good as someone who has more of a following.
Yeah.
So
I will
how would you
say that
describe like a hierarchy for
when
that?
I can't speak on everybody else. I can only speak on myself. But
Yeah.
I remember when I started comedy, I only had like maybe like like no, I'd say like maybe either 1,600 followers, like 2K followers. I don't even remember anymore. But I know I had like a small following because again, I do other stuff too. Like I do music, I stream,
Like
I do
game streaming or what
yeah,
type of streaming?
video game streaming. So like I do a lot of things that people know me from. But when I want to say it wasn't until I made I posted a clip uh last summer um of a comedy competition, and that one just kind of blew up, and it put me on the algorithm, I like
Mhm.
to think, because after that it's like every day I was waking up to like another 1,000 followers, and then it eventually just kept climbing, and it was weird because it was like there it felt weird because it started getting to the point where, like, especially after I hit like the first K, it's like people who I was just meeting would be like, "Oh, like, when you have that many amount of followers, you should do this, or you should try to use it in this way." I was like,
Yeah.
I don't. We haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Let's talk first. Because it's just like it's weird having that amount of followers because I feel like people then assume that you're like, and it also doesn't help with the imposter syndrome, like in the slightest. Because I'm just like,
Yeah. Goddamn.
but I will say that I was like after that started happening, I started being more consistent because I used to post on TikTok, but then I archived a lot to try to like clean it up, and then I was like, I'll just make like a comedy page specifically
Mhm.
for comedy stand up related stuff. Um and I was able to be put on the algorithm there as well, and Facebook too, but it was like I had to be consistent with my posting, like
Right.
at least like once every like 2-3 days, and then after a while, I got a little burnt out, and I just kind of like took a step back because editing videos is so tedious,
For sure.
which I'm sure you know
Yeah,
nothing
man.
about. That
All
was
the
sarcasm.
time.
I just,
All the time. But where's the jazz band where we need it?
but
That's interesting though. So do you feel like you're an internet comic then, or do you feel like a comic that just uses the internet to, push your career forward? Because there's what's like a good example, like
I
Bo Burnham or whatever. Like those guys are kind of like internet first, and then they go to do live stages and all that.
it's
Like,
weird. I feel like I'm just a person who be hee-heeing and ha-haing
okay,
online and in
which one? What
person.
do you hee more or ha ha more?
Probably ha.
Okay.
Probably ha. Ha, because I do that a lot.
Okay, there we go.
But it's weird because it's like because Portland feels like a small city for me. Like
Mhm.
it's always felt like a small city to me because it's like, again, being a performer as long as I have been, like I would busk around town, I would
Wow.
sing at bars and clubs and stuff like that. Um and like I've had people come up to me and be like, "Hey, like don't you sing with like Chill Will?" Or "Hey, like aren't you that like don't you do comedy?" Or it's
Mhm.
just it's weird. Like even like I remember like 2 weeks ago, I mean it's not always bad. Like don't get it twisted because like 2 weeks ago I had like a really like shitty shift at work and I was just like in my feelings.
Yeah, what do you do for
And
work?
I'm in social work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I love my job. I love what I get to do. I love my clients. My coworkers are dope. Very grateful. But yeah, it was just a really hard day. And I remember I was on my way to a show and I was about to get off the bus. And then someone saw me and they were like, and they tapped me on the shoulder. And I was just like, oh, I'm like, hey, I just want to say, like, I follow you on Instagram. You're like really funny. And I just wanted to tell you that. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. And
We
I don't
made
know how
it.
to respond. I don't know how to respond when that happens. And it's happened enough times that, like, you'd think I'd know, but I'm just like, I'm so awkward. 9 times out
Should
of 10, I
break
kick my
down.
foot up in the air and I'm just like,
Oh.
I'm very awkward. I wasn't again, without trauma, I would not be a comedian. I don't I don't know how to respond to positive
Oh
reinforcement.
no. Okay. So when you were growing up, did you want to be a creative? Like obviously you did creative stuff, but like
Yeah,
is this something you've always wanted to do as a career or
I knew that I wanted to do something creatively. I knew that I didn't want it to be music. I love music. I love it, but it's more like something that kind of makes me feel good and it's for me and I don't want at any point to feel like it's a job,
right.
you know? So it's like even though I've created songs or whatever and out of all the songs I created, I only have like I think one out.
Mm.
But
Just because or are you looking for producers or
no, like it's just that I think I was hella in my feels. I was like, this is I think this song fire. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't
yeah, yeah,
care.
yeah.
And it's just like when I'm feeling a lot of feelings and I want to verbalize it. Sometimes the best way I can do it is singing it,
Mhm.
and or like even like using my ukulele and just like creating like different
What'd you say?
ukulele.
Is that how it's pronounced for
I
real?
think so.
I thought it was just ukulele.
I thought it was
Ukulele.
ukulele. That's what I thought.
Maybe I'm butchering it again because I'm American.
I don't know, Balake. You tell me.
I, I don't know. Okay, so
But
you're good at the ukulele.
I'm decent. I'm decent.
Okay.
But yeah, I just like music just helps me. It's for one, it's one of the ways I stem, and then also it
Wait,
just
you said what?
one of the ways I stem.
What the fuck does that mean?
It kind of helps me like regulate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a common word?
Yeah, for neurodivergent folk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what music is for me. And so like I never want to put it in a place where it could be compromised in a,
Yeah.
you know, in my relationship to it. And then, you know, saying I feel like when I really think about like when I think of creative pursuits, it all really came down to two things. One is like I love the different communities I could find within, you know, loving those interests, and two, just finding other creative ways to express myself.
Mhm.
And then like comedy was because mind you, I've like done a lot of different, you know, forms of expression as well as creative outlets, but comedy was the one thing that like I got into it and immediately like I want to do this. This is what I want to do.
Right.
Like I love this. Um, yeah.
So what is your comedy style like for people who haven't seen you before?
Very queer. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, queer and like
What does it mean to be
pokey.
queer for you?
What does it mean to be queer for me? I talk about my queer experiences.
Okay. What does that even mean?
It talks about, you know, me being with a range of people, you know, or like interacting with a range of people, not just like strictly like the opposite like gender or like um yeah, I have like you know, bits talking about, you know, queer. I'm still getting used to like being like on a podcast. Am I allowed to swear? I don't know.
Fucking can't swear, you
Oh,
asshole.
I'm so fucking sorry.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, like queer sex,
Okay.
queer relationships, yeah, and
And is this like an outlet you use to just express yourself? Or are you trying to get like a message across? Or what is when you're talking about that? Is there a purpose behind it, or is it just just to have fun and
well, for one thing, I realized that like I mean like when I first it took me a while to come to terms with how with who I am and like
Russian?
you got it. You got it right there. No.
Katya.
No, what we're not gonna do, what we're not gonna do, Balake. But but it took me a while. Like I even remember like the first time that like I was in middle school and someone was like, "What are you gay?" Because I was always like attached to the hip with one of my best friends. I was like, "I'd still pull more than you, so what's up with it?" But then later I was like thinking about it. I'm like, "Oh my god, what if I am gay?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
don't think about it. Because if you think about it, you're gonna turn gay, and then no one's gonna like you. You're not gonna have any friends.
Then you're gonna have to pray.
And then it's and so just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't count. And then my sophomore year of high school, this senior and I like yeah, I
Is this legal?
no, I'm like I need an adult. Anyway, stop it.
But you're
Long
just
story short, I was like, I kind of was like, yeah, I was like, kind of like, oh, well, this doesn't count because it doesn't count. It's fine. Like I'm still straight. I still think men are or boys are attractive. It's fine. And
little
it wasn't,
boys?
huh? This is when I was. Will
Oh.
you not try to? Will you not? And then fast forward
Can
to
you
my
repeat
junior
that one more
year.
time with the
Oh my god. Junior year of high school, I caught feelings for one of my my friends, and I was like, oh, so okay, I checked it now. This is
Wow.
not just like I actually want to be in a relationship with this person, and so
But growing up, you didn't feel like that was like acceptable or something? Because that's
it
crazy to
was.
be like, well, I had this relationship with a senior, but then I didn't think it was.
But because it's complicated. I was in denial. That's what made
Okay.
it complicated.
Okay.
But I had to come out to my dad twice. I didn't really care
Twice?
about. I didn't.
Did you take it back or something?
Actually, Uno reverse. Now you're the gay one.
Oh.
No, because the first time I came out to him, oh my God, I'm very fortunate that both times weren't like terrifying. I mean, it felt terrifying in the moment the
Yeah.
first time, but like we were driving home from track practice, my junior year of high school, and we're like on the road that is getting close to home. I'm like, so I'm bisexual, and he was like, huh?
He's like, me too.
How'd you figure that? And I was like, well, I like boys, but girls are kind of cool too. He's like, huh?
Get
We're
the
having ribs for dinner. I'm like, okay, cool. And then that was that.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
fast forward like a year later, I realized, no, I feel like pansexual is more me.
It's like kitchen pans, pandas.
It's so funny you say that, because when I then came out to my dad as that, he goes into the kitchen, he grabs a pan, he goes, I bet this one right here, because he'll make you breakfast in the morning. And I'm like,
Oh.
Dad, he's like, no, but on the real though, do I need to look up anything? Like, what do I do to support you? And I'm just like, I love you. I'm a bring home whoever I bring home. And he's like, good shit. So
Yeah, okay, so it's pretty supportive then.
yeah, I never came out to him as queer because I'm like, he's been through the run of it. I think because people always ask when I'm like, why, when they say why queer, not bisexual, it's like I just say queer because I don't like feeling like it's just like it's a cozy umbrella. That's the best way I can put it. Like I can't describe it any other way other than like I feel more comfortable being described as queer rather than, oh, you're bisexual, oh, you're pansexual. It's just like there's so many.
Queer queer's like everything, right?
Yeah, it's like an umbrella term.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm still confused a little bit. Obviously, I say that now too. Not for me personally, but I say queer. But I thought before it was like a negative word, right?
It was. I mean, so was nigga. So,
Yeah, so
then we took that shit back.
Yeah. So you're a queer nigga.
I'm a queer nigga. What's up? 2024. Who would have thought we see the day we could say that shit? Yeah, I'm a queer nigga. What's up with it?
That's amazing. Okay. So this just came from like being comfortable with like, did you have to like meet more people, or what made you more comfortable with that or
Being
something?
queer?
Yeah. Do you feel like did you actually have like do research or something, or what was that like?
Define research, because
You're like, hello, is anyone in here?
oh lordy. No, I mean, wow. I don't know. I feel like after high school, especially like because by the end of high school, I knew who I could potentially be interested in, and I think that definitely helped. Like the first like few years out of high
Yeah.
school, I was like, oh, how fun, just having a good old time.
Yeah.
But like after high school, I was never not open about being queer, because I was very, very fortunate that when I did come out to my dad, like he's the only person like really in my family that whose like thoughts matter to me.
What about your mom?
We're not really close.
Oh, because
yeah.
she's Russian.
You got it, nail on the head. That's where that is. No, but like daddy's girl all the way. But like he was the scariest person to tell. And then once he was like, yeah, you're my daughter, I love you. I'm like, good shit, cool.
You're not like a furry?
That the way that this has been brought up to me so many times in the last like month, like the conversation of furries. Listen, I don't kink shame, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
So it is a sexual thing then. Because like I've been seeing a lot of, I have no idea why they're in my feed, but I've been seeing a lot of like kids.
I don't know, the algorithm be algorithming, so I think.
Have you been getting like kids in like furry costumes running around playgrounds?
I think that's all you, my guy. I think that is
I did not. I haven't looked anything up for that.
Are you sure? Because I got not even this like not even like anything that's furry related. It's just been conversation. People have been like, so how do you feel about furries? I'm like, do I give off that energy to ask me how I feel about furry? Like, do I give off furry?
No, I don't think you'd give up. I don't know. Anyone can do anything in their spare time.
I'm just like, you'd be surprised how many people have asked me furry related topics. I'm like, I'm not the person to talk about.
Do you like
that.
animals?
I mean, yeah.
Then you're
I
a
have a
furry.
Damn, I didn't know that's how that worked. I feel like I'm learning so much right now.
I'm dead. So then you became a stripper. How did that happen? Is that a smooth transition from
That's such a good
furries
transition.
to
Well, I mean, okay. Let's see.
Because you have jokes about it on your page.
Yeah, that's actually the first jokes I started telling was about my experience as a sex worker. And yeah, I wouldn't say quickly, but I kind of dramatically pulled back from that just because it's hard being a femme person in the comedy scene in general.
Yeah.
But especially when the comedy scene is a lot of men, straight men at that. And I remember I started telling like a little bit more like stories of like being a stripper, and now I've shortened it since then. And like unless it's like a queer audience, I might tell more because I always feel comfortable and way more safe like with a queer audience. But like I have fun with every audience, but those are like the favorite audience. But I remember there was one time where I made, mind you, this was I think my second month of comedy, and I had told a joke about being a dancer. And I remember right after, the person who was like guest hosting was making a comment, was trying to be like, who else is trying to figure out where she works? Or like, I'm trying to see all that. Like, I'd pay $50 for that. And I was just like, nigga, you can even afford to get in the club. Like, what are you talking about right now? And then like he tried to go back and forth with it, but I wasn't having it. And then only after, when he got off he brought up the next comic, and he was like, did I do something wrong? I said, that wasn't cool. Like, you don't know me to be saying shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be one thing if like we had rapport, but even then that would be pushing it, because it's like, why are you talking about me? Like, it's like, especially how intimidating it is to be a new comic and then a femme comic at that too, and having like immediately like, all right, let's talk about what she looks like naked, like to a bunch of people who don't. It's like, I feel like, and that's another thing, is like being a sex worker is like, the second someone finds out you're a sex worker, it's like the entire conversation shifts to like, all right, I want to, like, let's try to picture them naked. Let's just sexualize this person in this conversation as quickly as possible. And it just becomes so exhausting. Because it's just like, all right, you're not a person. You're a body first, person second.
And how'd you become a stripper? What was that like? Is that like,
it
wasn't like straight out of high school, or was it straight out of high school, or was
it almost was like, literally, it was almost, because I turned 18 my senior year, like November my senior year, I turned 18. So I could have, and I was contemplating it. I'm really glad I didn't, but I got into it because I want to save money so I could get my own crib and just get out of where I was living, because it was not ideal.
Was there like any like moral dilemma with that at all? Like being like, damn.
Oh no. Like I was like, and then also I will say another good chunk of it that I haven't talked about in a minute was just like, it was also like a way of kind of reclaiming like my sexual self, just because of like shit happens and not really feeling in control of myself or my body. And I knew that that could also be something that could kind of help me reclaim it. And then also like inadvertently I ended up, because growing up, I was so much closer to my dad than I was my mom. I wasn't really, I didn't know how to be like feminine a lot of the time growing up. So it was like kind of weird, like, cause I got crushes on like boys here and there, but like, and it's just like, I didn't know how to talk about it, because I was like, and I also didn't know I was neurodivergent until like halfway through high school, I think, which is really really weird, because it's like the signs were all there, but I didn't know how to like communicate other than just being like blunt about it. And I feel like sometimes people would prefer to be a little bit more passive or like beat around the bush. I'm like, why don't we just do this? And it's just like, that's you're kind of I don't know. I felt like the feminine cues that were expected, I kind of missed, and so I don't know. I also think that I struggled a lot with my self-image, and I think it was for a number of reasons. Like, I wasn't around a lot of girls that looked like me, black, and also, I don't know. It was just weird. And I also think that maybe subconsciously I knew that I also liked girls, so that also made an extra layer of like uncomfortability, because I didn't know how to like interact. I don't know, but getting into stripping though, because I'm surrounded by so many women, it's like not only was I even more comfortable in my body, because like in high school, high school and middle school, like when we'd have to change in the locker room, I'd go to a stall and change. And then I went from doing that to like literally like cutting a bitch's tampon. Like it was like,
okay.
yeah, like like we were like this at the club. And then also it's just like being more comfortable in my femininity, and as well as like having more like um femme friendships, you know.
And was your experience there pretty positive then? Because I've had friends who've had like
I mean,
pretty
don't get
traumatic
it twisted. No, like no.
experiences,
You
you know?
cannot be in any type of sex work without being in like dealing with assault. Like it's not possible.
Mm.
It's not. And so like when I would talk about, being a sex worker, I don't like glamorizing it. Like, I mean, I have like I have a page where I would make like memes and stuff for those who are in the industry, but I also like will have whole like conversation videos just talking about like, hey, this is what it's like, this is what it feels like to be a sober dancer, because like I don't really there'd be times where I don't drink alcohol, but the club would encourage you to drink alcohol with the customers because they want the money, the sales, or talking about um the customers trying to be slick with whipping their dick out, and you being like, dude, like,
Oh my
like the
God.
first time I remember the first time a customer tried to make me grab his dick, I was like, nigga, I don't roll like that. What are you doing? And then like to punish me, he'd only get dances with girls around me. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm big chillin'. And I remember the first time a guy whipped his dick out in a dance, I was just like, what the fuck is he doing?
Damn.
And then it went from like, what the fuck to like, I can't believe this happened, to, I'm like, dude, please, do we have to do this again? Come on, dude, put it away. Put it away. No, I'm not. Why did you tuck up your shirt? He's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. You lift the shirt, the dick's there. Dude, get out. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's like the way that we have to kind of normalize really fucked up shit, or them trying to be slick and, finger you in the dance and stuff like that. And, it's just, and it's like, the thing about it is like, it's not like a shaming, it's not like a shaming, because I don't shame girls that, because obviously there are going to be some girls who may, do some stuff in the club, like extra stuff in the club. I don't shame them. It's like the perspective that I've gotten from people that I've known that have told me this is that, at least they know that there's security, there's safe, things or whatever and stuff like that. It's like, it's just like the consenting aspect of it, but also it's just like with media, the media is like, I remember when I first started dancing, and then I started paying attention more to like things I used to watch, like Criminal Minds, and like, even like Insecure, love Insecure. But like there's this one episode where it's just like, there's a few like different episodes where it's like they depict like strippers like, oh yeah, like I'll fuck you for like $20. It's like, bitch, what? It's just like, or the expectation that if they're going to the club, they're gonna get fucked. And that's what makes shit so dangerous for us, is because they go in that with that expectation that like, oh, I'm gonna get my dick touched because that's what, everything in like the movies and everything is saying is going to happen. And it just, that's what ends up putting us in those risky situations, is the expectation because of the media.
And then you left because of comedy, or just because all that stuff became too much overall?
No, it was time to take a little breaky break. It was time to take a little breaky break.
Did you feel like you made your money though, at least?
I did good.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it there. I did good.
How much? No, yeah, okay,
Nah,
there we
nope,
go.
we ain't doing no numbers.
for sure not.
But I
okay.
did good.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of myself.
So you like close that chapter of your life, and you feel like you can like talk openly about it, and it's just
well,
like,
I was talking openly about it then too, because it's
Yeah.
just, I'll catch people say little slick shit about, strippers or sex workers, or like, and it's just like, okay, what, like, why are we shitting on somebody who's getting their bag from shit that you do for free? Like, let's not make it a competition, but if you want to, we can go there. You're just not gonna like where it goes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, I just don't understand people just getting on people for doing shit that does not in any way affect them. You know what I mean? But there was an overlap between stripping and doing comedy, which was like interesting, because then I'd have customers be like, wait, can I come to your shows? I'm like, hell yeah, but I am gonna pick on you. And they're like, I don't care. I'm like, that's right, that's your kink. It works for me.
Did you see some of those people at your shows?
I've seen one at an open mic, and like he thought it was hilarious. But I also had what's funny is that I've had comedians come to the club that I was working at before, because I never would tell where I worked, obviously. But it was really funny because there was this one comedian who like was at my club, and he was like getting back-to-back dances. And so, but he saw me, I saw him, but he acted like he didn't see me. And then later we were at an open mic, and he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, were you, never mind." I'm like, "No," the answer is yes. He's like, "You don't know what I was gonna say." Yes, I did. And he's like, "What I was gonna say?" He was like, "You were gonna ask me if I was at this place at this time." And the answer is yes, because I worked there. He's like, "Okay, well, I don't usually go to strip clubs. You know, I was just, my friend was in town." And I was like, "I don't care, nigga. You were spending money. Do your thing. Like, you're fine." But there have been other like comics that have come to the club, and then I didn't see them spend money. And then I would like call him out on stage because like only like if, like there was one time when a comic that came to my club didn't spend no money and was just more of a gawker. He said something about like, because I was coming on next, and you know people knew that I was a stripper because I talk about it in my comedy sometimes. He's like, "All right," and everyone knows like pays sex workers. I said, "Maybe practice what you preach, my guy, because what happened last weekend?"
And your stripper name wasn't Mama Fi, right?
It was not. It was not Mama Fi.
Oh my gosh! So then you was that at one point that was like your full-time job then, doing stripping?
Yeah.
And then how did that transition into social work? Or was that like did it go straight from that or no?
The only difference in that is pay. But no, I've always wanted to be in social work. Like literally since when I was younger, I remember, I want to say grade school was when I was like, I want to be a therapist. Like, I think I want to do that. And then when I got in middle school, and that's when I started really showing signs of like depression and all that stuff, I was like, I need to be a therapist because there are no Black women therapists or like therapists that look like me. And I would hate for someone to feel the way that I'm feeling about this whole situation. And like, I remember like, it was almost like 5 years to the day that when I got offered the position that I'm in now, that someone asked me, this woman I was seeing was like, "So where do you see yourself like in 5 years?" And I was like, "Honestly, I would love to be like in like social work, maybe like counseling for youth, something like that. That would be really dope. Like just something that I can like help out in the community, because like that's kind of what I needed when I was younger." And then like seeing that pop up on like the freaking like, "Hey, memories from like da 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 da," and then being like, that's literally what I do now. Like I work with houseless youth and young adults.
Got it.
So
nice. There's a houseless. Do you know what Real Change is?
Is that Seattle?
It's like a houseless newspaper. So like, there's writers that write for the houseless, and the house people like sell them.
Yeah. We have something similar in Portland.
Basement. Okay, so that how old are you, by the way?
26.
Okay, so this has kind of all been like all recent.
Yeah.
Sort of. So then, how long have you been a social worker now? Then
officially, like, let's see, what month are we in? April, May, June, July, August. Almost a year.
Okay.
Almost a year.
So with that, you've been a stripper, you've been a social worker.
Well, most of the guys that came in, they were just talk about, like, it sounds so cliche, but it's just like most of the men that came in, they just wanted someone to talk to. Like one of my best and my favorite clients, like literally like we became like, I genuinely like cared about this client, and it wasn't just because he was paying me. It was the fact that like he treated me like a person. Like he would pay for a dance, but we would just be talking about, you know, our neurodivergencies and growing up with, with parents that weren't really, all there, and just like having full on conversations about like self-discovery and stuff like that. And just, like the things that they feel like too scared to talk about with the people in their own lives, So, and then also just in general, I very much have been the friend that's like, all right, let's like, I'm noticing something. You want to talk about it? Like, how do you want me to take? How do you want to take up this space right now? Do you want me to just like? So it was like the transition, because I don't know if I really answered that. The transition from like stripping to social work wasn't difficult for me because, yeah, I'd like to believe I've always been a pretty personable person where I can like converse with someone and kind of be there in the way that they need me to show up.
Got it. And then when did you get involved like streaming? And
streaming was an accident. So I got bored during quarantine, and
were you in Portland during quarantine?
It was like quarantine hit as soon as I got my first solo apartment.
Nice.
And then everything shut down. So I was like, no IKEA, no nothing.
Oh.
Facebook Marketplace was clutch though, because a lot of people gave away shit for free.
Yeah,
so
for
I was like,
sure.
I kind of clutch. I didn't have to spend a lot of money
Yeah.
on, or like if any, on my shit furnishing.
Yeah.
But I had like a few TikToks go a little on the algorithm, and so I had enough followers to go live, and so I'd go live while I was playing Little Nightmares.
Oh, I love that game.
Literally love both of the games.
You
The
like-
second one's better than the first one.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a third one.
Yeah. But it's a different company.
It's a different company, but it's gonna be multiplayer.
I don't know if I like that or not. Do you like multiplayer? I only like solo.
I'm a co-op person. I love team. Like I'm very much like anything that's like team. Like you got to work together in order to survive. I love that shit because I love being like I got you.
Okay.
But yeah, I would be streaming on my TikTok, but I would flip the camera because it was before they had TikTok Live Studio.
Okay.
So I would flip the camera and I would just show me playing it and screaming and shit. And I was, this is kind of fun. But then fast forward to 2021, I bought someone a PlayStation 5.
You bought someone a PlayStation?
I bought someone a PlayStation 5. Then they did me dirty big time. And they didn't even know I bought them the PlayStation 5. I was going to surprise them with it. And so I kept it. And I didn't even tell them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I might as well play this shit. And then I remember I had Friday the 13th as a gift on my Switch. And so I got it for PlayStation. And then I started streaming that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is kind of fun. And then I started making friends that also streamed. And then from then, it's like I was really inconsistent with it until I want to say like this last year. I actually started being a little bit more consistent with it. And now I switch between streaming on both Twitch and TikTok, but mostly TikTok now. I have like a gaming things just for streaming.
Do you have a good following? Is that something you're still working on? Or what's that like?
Now that I'm streaming consistently, it's like I end like even if I stream for like at like least an hour and a half, I end up with like 10 plus followers from that stream, which is cool. I just like it's fun being because it's like again, I am extroverted and I am like a social person, but like to be able to be social from like the means of like my own home is nice too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun building like my like little gamer community, and yeah.
So you like solely play on PlayStation 5 kind of?
I have a PC as well. I have so all the consoles I have a PS2, PS5, Wii, Switch, PC, and I feel like I'm missing something. But yeah,
Nice.
I stream sometimes off my PlayStation 5, but I mostly stream with my gaming laptop.
Got it.
And then yeah.
And have you always been into games or?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I played a lot of games with my dad, like video games. Like I played on every PlayStation console. But yeah, I liked the like scary first person games. Like horror games has always been like because that's what my dad and I would play. It's like we'd play Resident Evil. We'd play like freaking God, I'm blanking. I can't even think. But then also I played like Xbox. I'm PlayStation like completely like Team PlayStation. Okay, good, cool. I didn't know if I had to walk out or something. But I played on Xbox too, and like at some point I'd like to also have an Xbox just for like my friends who also have an Xbox. It'll be just makes shit easier. But I did learn the Discord thing, which is cool. But Left 4 Dead, like things like that. Like I like, and I'm just now getting into first person shooter games, but I'm mostly like horror games and co-op games. And yes, Killer Clowns, I will be getting that when it comes out. Yep.
So So were you like so you had a solo apartment during COVID? Does that mean you're like by yourself during COVID, or did you were dating someone, or was like? Because I know everyone had like a different experience.
Yeah. So the very start of COVID, I just broken up with someone I was seeing. And it was kind of weird because it was like that happened a week later. I get my apartment and then a new job. And I was just like, all right, this is kind of cool. So I was kind of riding the high of that, but I was also kind of starting to see someone. And like literally right when, I think it was like the day that I moved into my apartment, this person was like, we should date. And I was like, no, because there's too much shit happening in the world. And I just got this big win and I'm not about to let this. And then I ended up dating that person. And I think for the first year of quarantine, I kind of had a quarantine.
Oh, okay.
And then that ended. But like even prior to that, like Animal Crossing was huge during quarantine, so I just played that with my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I like gamed my way through quarantine mostly.
Got it.
And I unfortunately was an essential worker, so
You were or you weren't?
I was.
What were you doing during?
I was
You were stripping?
nutritionist. No,
Oh.
no, no. Lord, no. No, I was a nutritionist at a retirement facility.
Okay, I worked at a retirement home before.
Oh,
I hated it.
yeah.
They were like all old racist white people.
What's wild to me is that the residents loved me, and I worked primarily with those with Alzheimer's and dementia. Like that was the floor. The only racist shit I dealt with was from my coworkers.
Ah,
Like that was the wildest thing about it. I'm like, how are y'all gonna like? That's for them.
yeah.
That's literally that's for them. But the
Yeah.
only like racist thing that I would get from time to time was like one resident just talking about like how he feels about black women. And I'm like, I mean, if that's really the case, you know, there's some papers you can sign to really show, you know, your love, you know, for black women.
Yeah.
But no, but yeah, no, that wasn't a great. That was like by far the worst job I've ever had. Like I cried before, during, and after all my shifts because
Yeah.
it was just like it was such a hostile work environment.
Yeah.
And like the fact that comparing that to dancing is like you can't compare it. Like dancing was way better because at the very
Oh my
least,
gosh.
but also like dancing being an independent contractor, you can be like there was this one dude who really thought he could like talk to me some type of way, and so when I give him attitude back, he looked like so like I'm like nigga, what do you think this is? You
Yeah.
can't like. I don't work for them. I work for me. Like you're not about to talk to me like I ain't shit.
Yeah.
Like, sir.
Dang. I only lasted at a retirement home for like 6 months.
I did
I
it like
couldn't do
for
it.
barely over a year. It was
Yeah.
bad. It was bad.
It takes a. What's the weirdest job you've had then?
Oh man. I don't know if like weird is a weird word
Ah,
for
okay.
me. I
Fair enough.
don't think I've had like cuz I've been for the most part like I've been like I'm one of those like who gets a job and they usually stay for a few years, except like that was like the shortest job I've ever worked for a length of time, like which was like I think like a little over a year and a half maybe, I don't know. But like the jobs I've worked, I've been there for like 4 years minimum, maybe
Yeah.
longer, and then sometimes there's be overlap. Like my favorite job uh prior to being in social work was like when I used to work at a pub, because I loved the regulars. My managers were, oh my god, they were so dope. Like it was weird, like it felt like a family, and like it sucked that the only reason that I ended up leaving that job was because I was, you know, working another job that was paying more.
Mhm.
And I was just like, it just doesn't make sense, especially now that I live across town and this place is like right by me. It doesn't make sense for me to stay with what I'm being paid. And but like I stayed on like good terms with them, and I still go there. Like the regulars will see me like, Fee. I'm like, yeah, it's me.
What is like your advice and experience for like working in comedy? Like, how can people like make? Is there profit in comedy for people when people see someone with like 35,000 followers doing festivals? They're probably like, oh my gosh, that means you're making a ton of money. But you know what I mean? Like, there's
Where?
like yeah, right. It's like
Where?
it's the same thing with like streaming, doing artist, being a recording artist or something. So what is that like for someone like you that's in comedy?
Like advice I would give?
Yeah, and like, what is your experience with that? Like, what are some like stereotypes that people might see when they see you being like having all these followers doing festivals versus like the reality of certain
It's weird.
situations?
It's weird because it's like I literally it's very similar to like when someone sees me on the street and it's like, "Hey, do you do comedy?" or "Hey, like do you do music?" It's like I am literally going home to cry, my
Oh,
guy. I don't I'm like it feels so weird to say like I'm literally just a person. But I remember when I first started like I said when I first started getting like followers like by like the thousands, and I would have people just DMing me like either, you know, referencing my joke or like women that were very like, "Hey, I like," cuz I have this one bit where I talk about how I can't tell when women are flirting with me.
mm.
And then the women made it very clear that they were flirting
Oh
with
my
me.
gosh.
But you know what's funny though? Well, when men like are trying to flirt with women, it's like literally it's the worst thing. It's
Oh,
almost always the worst thing. But when women are trying to flirt with you, they can still be like they can be so ballsy and yet still so goddamn respectful. Like it's anyway, sorry, women.
no.
But it's like when people I had one person who sent me like a long ass paragraph about just like how much they like value me as a creative, and how they saw that even though that one of my reels is what got their attention, like they went on my page and they saw some other things, and even like a song that I forgot that it was like a personal song that I shared on there, and how it made them cry, and how they just feel like they could really relate to me, and how they just really want me to like, succeed and all this stuff. And it's just like it's weird in the best of ways, only because it's kind of like, how do I put this? Validation is nice. Validation is lovely. And I think that, everyone should feel okay wanting it and accepting it. It's also like becoming more comfortable with acknowledging the fact that like I am a cool individual.
Yeah.
But it can be it's kind of intimidating sometimes, because it's like, that just like how people will have like this good praise on you, there'll also be people who are trying to, shit on you to make you feel shitty. And it's just like, you don't even know me for real. You know what I mean? And like being someone who like, every now and then makes content, not just stand up, but like content, it's like you try to balance between that line of like, all right, I want to show more of me, but also I don't want to show too much of me that they feel entitled for more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's like, I just got to remind myself, like, okay, as long as I know me and what I stand for, and my people that I rock with know me and what I stand for, that's all that really matters. Because it's like the second you start to kind of doubt yourself and who you are and like what's important to you, that's the only time it can really like be a problem, because then you let them have the narrative of who you are.
For sure.
And that's when it can get really,
Is your goal to eventually do comedy as your sole thing?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Which is so like weird to say, because I mean, honestly, like my goal would be eventually being able to like help with the production of a new show, like a TV show. Like that would be like, that's like the dream. I want this to be the stepping stone to help me get to that. But also that's like comedy in general, like being able to do that'd be sick.
What do you think those steps are? Because like again, like people might see all these followers and be like, okay, that means you've made it at that point.
Well, it's weird. Okay, so because the one thing people talk about with comedy is that like, and what I've even like I've seen where it's just like, it doesn't matter when you start. It's like you immediately get kind of thrown into it. It's not like, oh, you have to be here and here and here and here and here before you can meet this person. It's like you could literally just happen to be like, hey, so we had someone that didn't show up, so you want to just fill in? And you just happen to be with someone who's been doing it for like 20 plus years, and you're just like, oh, what the hell? Like, I had some I've had a moment before where someone reached out to me about a traveling comedian with like hundreds of thousands of followers that were like, hey, we're looking for people who'd possibly be interested in opening for this comic. Like, and my name would be on a marquee and everything. And I was just like, that thought alone, like, just like, it was cool. But I was like, I know I'm not there yet. And me being like, hey, there's this other comic that I think would be better for this. But yeah, maybe another time when I get my, I feel more confident in this. But I'd say, I don't know.
Where does that confidence come from? Just more experience, you feel like? Or
I mean, like, I'm definitely like, because at that point I was like 6 or 7 months in. So I was like, what we're not about to do is like, because one thing about me is that like, even though I can recognize like, if an opportunity is there, take it. I can also recognize if I'm ready for that opportunity or not. It's like, I don't want to just throw myself in there just because the opportunity is there. It's like, I want to be like, am I actually like, do I feel comfortable and confident in that? And like, what that looks like to me is like being able to be like, yep, all right, I can do this, without being like, well, like second guessing it, because I was still trying to sort that out with, there were, some people, like, I remember in the beginning, I started like saying yes to a show and then like being back and then backing out of it, just because like I would talk to another person who'd been doing comedy longer, and they'd be like, or like they would go from being like, oh, that's so cool, you're on the show, I've been wanting to be on that show. Like, I've been doing comedy this long and and they just booked you on this show. And me being like, okay, maybe I'm not ready to be on this show.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and that's where it goes with, you have to know like you, so you don't let them influence your decisions, And I think that like as a femme, and I'm still like, I can't say that I'm like new to comedy now, but I still like, I feel like the best way to describe it, I feel like a toddler in comedy. Like, I'm walking a little bit, but I'm still waddling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to figure shit out. But what I do know is that like, because like it's important to have friends in comedy, and also like remember that sometimes they're your coworkers. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
So do you want people to see you as like a queer comic, or do you just want people to see you as a comic? Like, do you have like a goal of how people portray your comedy and what they think of you as?
honestly, I just want to make people feel something.
Yeah.
like like because I like to just put it out there that like I'm a black femme queer comedian. Just because I don't know, you don't really see that on things sometimes. And I think it's important for the representation 100%. Um and also like I like being able to make people feel good
Mm.
and also think. Like I have one joke where I talked about like some fertility issues I dealt with. And I remember when I first started telling that joke, it was no thing. And then like people started, messaging me or even coming up to me after shows and be like, "Hey, I recently dealt with this, and I just want to say I really appreciate you making me laugh about it."
Right.
Or like, "Hey, I haven't really come to terms with mine, and this came up across my For You page, and I needed it." And me being like, and then I remember there was at one point where I learned the lesson of like, before we tell a joke, maybe we should make sure we're ready to share that joke because people were going to
Right.
talk to you about it. Because then I had to put that joke on the back burner for a hot minute because I realized I never really coped with
Yeah.
it. But like, it's cool that like we're able to, because that's the thing with comedy is that you can craft your joke in a way that is like you can make people laugh, but you can also make them think.
Mm.
It's like, I mean, that's again, it's a form of expression.
For
So
sure. For sure.
like
So,
even yeah.
oh, no, what were you saying? My
I
bad.
was gonna say no, like even like with my stripper jokes, like I had this one joke I used to talk about like how you can literally be in high school and still be a stripper.
Yeah.
And like and people weren't the biggest fan of that joke,
Oh.
but it's like that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? Why are you uncomfortable with the fact that you can be 18 to work at a club, but you have to be 21 to come in? Why is that uncomfortable for you?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's kind of
Yeah, my
fucked up.
guy. Yeah, my
Dude,
guy.
great joke right there. So it seems like you're pretty open with your comedy. Has that like affected relationships at all? And if you're in a relationship right now, is that something
Like
you've had?
dating?
Yeah, like has that is
uh
that like something you've
I
had to
used
like
to
deal with?
I used to like say that I do comedy and then like I've tried to like not bring it up, but then there was this one there was this one there was this one situation where I made plans to meet someone for a first date and then I was like, "Hey, I forgot I have a show in 15 minutes."
Oh,
And I didn't even say what I did. I just said I forgot I have a show in 15 minutes. And they were like, "Oh, well, can I just meet you there?" And I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay, I'm
Mm.
not gonna say I'm good, but yeah, hell yeah, feel free, pull up." And they pulled up, and I have this. It's funny because this person I had met off of Hinge, and I have
Mm.
a bit of another person from Hinge. And so when I first said Hinge, I saw them kind of be like, "Wait, what the fuck?
Oh no.
Like, am I about to be on the?"
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it wasn't them, so they were fine. They thought it was hilarious too, and they're dope. They were dope. It was fun. It was a great time. But yeah, when it comes to like dating and doing comedy, it's interesting because I feel like when they're like, "Oh, you're a comedian, huh?" It's like,
Mm.
let me let me tell you some jokes, and nine
Yeah.
times out of ten, I'm probably gonna laugh. I laugh at a lot of things. I find a lot of things
Oh,
funny,
fair enough.
but it hasn't yet been like a thing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I feel like the second they find out I'm into comedy, it's either, "Oh yeah, I was thinking about doing comedy myself," or, "Oh yeah, like what got you into it?"
Yeah.
Like I bet I could make you laugh, and it's like, well,
Probably.
yeah, I laugh at a lot of shit.
Oh my gosh. So you're here in Seattle. What is that like? Is this one of your first times in Seattle, or?
No, I actually Seattle. The first time I came to Seattle was the first place that I went to, like technically, technically, like by myself, because like back in like 2017, I was like kind of having like I was not in the best frame of mind and not in the healthiest of relationships, and I was like, how can I eat, pray, love on a budget? And so
Mm.
I looked up train tickets near me.
Yeah.
And I literally it was like $7 for a train ticket to Seattle the next day.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I didn't know where I was going to stay, didn't know. And I had the return day be like 3 days later.
Mhm.
And I remember like, I was on my way out the house and my mom's like, "Oh, where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, Seattle." She's like, "What?"
Oh.
And she's like, "That's so crazy you say that though." Because I just connected with freaking remember Anthony, and I was like, oh, my childhood best friend Anthony. Yeah, she's like, yeah, he's living in Seattle now, so you should hit him up and see if you could stay with them. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And so it was just
And it
like
worked
it
out.
kind of everything like aligned, pretty dopely. So but yeah, Seattle's been like kind of like my getaway. Say like
Nice.
I'll catch the earliest like train here, spend the whole day here, and catch the last train out. And like I always go to
What?
Mopop. Yeah. Mopop. I love going to Mopop, especially the horror room. I love it. Love it.
I don't think I've been to Mopop since I was like 10 or something. I barely. It's like it's pop culture museum or something,
Museum
right?
of pop culture,
I need
yeah.
to go there. I haven't been there
And this
in a
was the
minute.
first aquarium that I ever went to.
Oh, nice. They're
Yeah.
making a second one. It's almost done.
Huh?
They're making a second aquarium, like
What?
right next door.
Oh, then I'm definitely gonna have to check it out
Yeah.
because no, it was I love popping up here for like a day trip and just like
Dang.
getting away.
That's wild. I have never met anyone who's done that. Okay.
Well, and also like the train is just it can be really scenic when you're not sleeping,
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So. What is your favorite part about Seattle then? The rain or
Mopop.
Mopop? For sure. And they change it every once in a while, right? It's like there's different like
I got
exhibits
to
that come in.
see the creators of like Coraline and all them.
Oh yeah, that was recent, right?
Yeah, and it's still going too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's still going. And then I also got to see like rap history.
Yeah.
I think right now they have like just like pop culture moments.
Yeah.
Like specifically like TikToks and Vine and other celebrities, past and present.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love it. I love how interactive it is. I love how big and spacious it is. And like even though like I've gone there so many times now, I'm still gonna make sure I come here at least once or twice
Dang.
before I leave.
So you're gonna go while you're here too?
Oh, I already did yesterday as soon as I got it. What you mean?
Oh my
No, what I
gosh.
usually do, I get in, I get breakfast, and then I go to Mopop, and then I spend a
Yeah.
few hours there, and then I go do whatever else I want to do.
So what is your advice for someone that's touring Seattle? Like,
Mopop.
but like, how do you get around?
I walk. I've always been a
Wow.
walker. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Usually I bike, but I don't want to bring my bike here.
Yeah.
But
You might be more of a Seattleite than other Seattleites then.
well, Portland and Seattle ain't all that different.
I guess so. We both have like drug epidemic too and stuff, right?
Well, you're not wrong.
There was a crazy documentary that just not crazy. Well, crazy in a bad way. There was like this documentary that just came out 2 days ago about Seattle. It was like
What's it called?
I forget. Something like worst drug city in America or something.
Lord.
Yeah. And it's like it seems like all these YouTubers have been like hearing about Seattle's problem and like come in to make like quick content, but nothing to like change what's going
Right.
on. Just
We
like
want clickbait, not solutions.
It's so stupid. So this guy, like this Indian guy from the UK, I don't know if he's really popular or not. I don't think his interview skills were that good, but he like interviewed like only 3 or 4 different people that are on the streets, and like it was so biased. I was like,
Well,
this
that's
is what
another
we
thing is
what
like
we
the
need,
second I
right?
sense a bias in something, I tune out because I'm just like, if you're not coming at this with like, let's get different viewpoints, like even
Yeah.
like sometimes like you need opposing viewpoints just
Yeah.
so you can let the viewer be able to decide how they feel about it. When
Yeah.
it's one sided, it's kind of hard for us to like form our own thoughts on it.
Yeah. But you feel like your work's doing something with the social work? You think you've
I
been seeing a
do.
lot of
I love what I get to do. I'm a peer support specialist, so like I do like have one-on-ones with clients and I help them, run errands or like just kind of talk to them about what they got going on as well as like kind of help them get connected with, and people who can help them with insurance as well as getting them connected with mental health like therapists, counselors and stuff like that.
Nice.
Like building a relationship and then helping them find the resources that they're looking for to help them succeed in whatever it is that they want to succeed in.
So anything else you really want to promote? Anything coming out at all? Any tour dates?
Why did I say it like that? I'm gonna be in New Orleans May 30th, well May 29th, but May 30th through the June 2nd.
Nice.
Is the LGBT LOL Comedy Festival. I will be on that. I'm so excited to be over there doing comedy. And yeah, follow me on TikTok. It's Mama Fi Comedy, I think. I should know
Okay.
that. No, it's Mama Fi Comedy. I'm also on Facebook. It's just Mama Fi. I think it's Mama Fi Comedy. Also, it'd probably just be Mama Fi. And then Instagram _Mama Fi.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, I stream. And all my links are there.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to have been one of your first-ish interviews. So,
Yeah.
yeah. This has been the NAST podcast with
Mama Fi.